Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. So today in this video, we're going to talk about a tool called DataButton. This is a tool that allows for the creation of applications, especially applications web, in an automatic way based on a specification document. And why am I talking about this tool today? Well, quite simply, it has launched a new version. This is a version where it allows you to create an agent. This agent will develop for us, but especially with very clear and simple teaching, and it will help us to follow along how it develops step by step. And each time we complete a step, we simply need to approve that step and we can move on to the next one. It's a little different from the Bolt tool because on Bolt, when we input our specifications, it will simply try to take the basic functions. It will first try to work on a design, and afterwards we have to do the work of selecting which steps Bolt needs to go over again to redo them. But what I really liked about this tool is that here, in fact, it is the one that will do the programming to know and automatically detect which steps are needed, and it will execute them one by one with our authorization. So for me, when we test this tool, you will see today that it is very interesting for beginners, for people who know nothing about programming. So as a result, we are not going to let them make decisions about functionality and testing, and keep going back to the tool each time to tell it, listen, you forgot to do this, do it again. However, here, it is the one that will organize itself and set priorities and provide us with a whole list where we can, of course, follow it step by step. So, before starting the video, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Firebase. I have a PhD in artificial intelligence and I am a professor at the university. So if this is the first time you are watching my video, I invite you to subscribe here because I publish daily training sessions, practical guides and tutorials on the latest in artificial intelligence and digital marketing. And for those who are subscribed, I wanted to give them a little gift. It's exclusive access to my pack of 100 courses. So do you find in the descriptions of this video the link to my e-learning platform with a special coupon, and that will give you access to 100 courses. So there are more than 6,000 videos in various fields: marketing, artificial intelligence. So what are you waiting for to start? And now I wish you good training. You can also find on their website here a demonstration. You can see a little bit how to do the deployment. There are, of course, several examples of people here who have created their application from A to Z. Here, it shows you that above all, in fact, we find that there are a lot of connections with the external tools as well as external models like ChatGPT, YouTube, TikTok. It has quite a Google Firebase, Stripe as well. This is a very interesting new feature. And you obviously have here the possibility to simply inject images of the interface with which, how you want to see the interface, the PDFs of your requirement. And it's up to it to actually read and understand that. That's it. In relation to, in fact, we don't just need to put it in May to take what we inject, actually other information and other elements. There, it will give you a plan. This is very important, an execution plan, what needs to be done. It prioritizes for you what is the priority task to do and the task that it will recommend to you. You will also have the possibility to deploy this in production, meaning to see it directly in a subdomain. You can share it with your friends, with your colleagues. And there, if we go to the pricing, this is what I also find very interesting. So here you can, of course, test for free, and you can have an account here for $20 per month. And there it tells you how many applications or AIs you can edit. And it's very interesting. At $75 here, at $20, it's more than enough for those who really want to develop a very advanced application. And you also have the possibility there to call on support. That's what you don't find with Bolt. With Bolt, when you're developing, if you're stuck on all, you can send an email, but generally you don't get a response. However, here, if you take this package, it's especially requested for web agencies that develop applications on demand or by order. And when they are going to develop, if they really need to, in fact, call on experts who are involved, that too, it's very interesting information. This will actually allow you to have direct consultations with a human. In fact, an expert on this tool who can help you when you see it here and you do actually unlock the different applications If it ever gets stuck, you can have a really advanced service here. And that, in fact, you can activate it just for a month and full, then switch back here. That means that the time your application is 100% operational, a month is more than enough. Sometimes to make an application that is complex, to develop it here. So we can do it very quickly. And then you can switch back here. Otherwise, this is a bit for large companies that are looking to simply make use of this site. But in reality, it's not you who will be setting things up. It's simply that you will have developers behind the scenes using this application. They are at your service to work and develop your application. It's as if you were placing an order with them to get the application you want. But it's so fast here that you can create a very complex application quickly in just a few days. And behind the scenes, of course, there are humans to unlock and develop. So for us here, to start, it's very simple. We will just click here on Get Started. You will simply create a free account to be able to test this application, and what we will do together. Here is the back office. Here I can see the documentation. Here too, I can join Discord. And here I can simply click to create an application. I can scroll down here, I can see the applications I have already created. I can also see, therefore, the applications that are shared by other people. And if I go up there, I click here on Profile, you will see that here I am on the free account, but it is possible to switch to other accounts. There is one that is $500, that one. Normally costs $699 on the homepage. But once you create an account and set it to $500, the advantage of that one is that it offers unlimited credits. That, however, is not found in other applications. The ability to launch prints in an unlimited manner, so there really, it's something very interesting, especially for people who work in teams and create many applications, who want, there you go, simply, instead of having 20 developers in the team, they want to have just 4 or 5 and actually let the intelligence quickly create, there you go, the functions that are normally, in fact, classic, simple, but require a lot of time and hours from developers. So, and here we go. So now we are going to launch our application. So as soon as I click here, there you go. It will actually give me 4 steps to follow. So at the beginning, I will need to do the description. Then I can actually give it in PDF, all the functions, and indeed the requirements of my application. And there, it's an inspiration. Generally, it's somewhere the screen prints. Here is the design that I want to create, and you will see the integrations there. That means which external applications I can connect with my application. So generally, to create or launch, we need these 4 steps. So these 4 steps, unlike other applications, we send the point and the PDF and the screen prints from the start. And he, of course, at that moment, has to make all the effort to gather all that information. But here, it's as if I am assisted. So there I start with the print. I provide the requirements, I provide the design, and I select the integrations he wants. Afterwards, he will help me label them, so that I can start doing, well, the description. I simply have to, or what is recommended is to call upon other artificial intelligences, which will help me create a detailed specification sheet for the application I want to create myself. So here I will show you a GPTs that I created with ChatGPT. I will leave the links in the description of this video. It is specifically designed to help me create a detailed specification sheet with all the basic features, whether on the front office, back office, the technologies to use on our DataButton. So it's very simple. I will click here to tell it, look, I have an application that I want to create. So there, it will actually ask me to provide descriptions of this application. I simply take it. In fact, this application is a very well-known American application, so it's just for informational or demonstration purposes for the video. So, of course, you shouldn't just copy-paste a site from A to Z without having the permissions. You can copy it, but it's very interesting. To make updates, you can add features, of course, change the colors, because it's true that ideas actually exist in abundance. Anyone can copy the idea, but it's very important to update that idea, to simply add your own touch. To obviously respect the ideas of others, you need to improve, develop, try to offer something new, and afterwards, it's completely normal that you can create your own project and contribute something new that solves a new problem for the community. So for me, it's just to show you how I'm simply going to take this website And I'm actually going to go to my GPTs here and give it information about this project, about this platform, which is a community platform where I can create my community, where I can simply develop events, set up courses for sale, offer monthly subscriptions or a one-time fee. In any case, there is a whole system behind it, a system that is very well known in the United States. So here I simply input the information and tell it, go ahead, create a very detailed specification document for me. You'll see that here it will work on the brand. It will obviously try to suggest to me the information about the front office, back office, the menu, the technologies used. You'll see there, it is listing all the features and requirements. You just need to give it, in fact, simply the basic information that I tried to provide it, the main functions. And there I simply have my specification document ready. You obviously have the possibility, so if I want to create a new one, we can always actually use the same one. In fact, pronto. But this time I can simply give it the website. So I click here and it will ask me for the website. I can provide the site, and from there it will do what's necessary to return the information to me. So I'll leave you the link to the description of this GPTs that I created for you in the description. There is a link where I can simply, so if you want, I can simply select all of this from A to Z. So here we will take all this data and information up to the end, and I will copy it. You see there already it actually suggests Stripe because it detected, in fact, with this platform that it can work with Stripe, with Firebase, also with authentication. So in any case, it's well done and well prepared to be adapted to our tool, DataButton. So here I will simply open a Word document, save it as a PDF. And there you go, we will simply upload our PDF file. So here, with all the information we copied from ChatGPT, so it's loading now. You will see that it will take me to the next step, which is inspiration. And this is where it actually plays a role. I can simply put it here. Everything we call screenshots on my interface. So here, it's very simple. There will be two possibilities. I come here and you will see there, I will take screenshots when you see there. So I take, for example, this interface here. We take a screenshot. I can also take this interface. So here, I also take this interface as a screenshot. I can also, so there you go, we can come back here, go to the pricing section, search. Here are the rates. So in any case, here I can simply take simple screenshots here so that the system can be inspired. In fact, you obviously have the Aval side. So here you will find a lot interfaces that are very interesting in relation. There you go. Inspirations could simply be placed here on the platform. And there you will see that it will give you a lot of platforms and you can of course get inspired. You will find many, many designs, and every time you find an interesting design, you take screenshots and come back here and you can simply paste the screenshots here. So for me, I will just take the prints that I took earlier from the application. There you go. These are just large, simple prints. And there you have it. So here I simply provided the inspirations. But you can really rely on this site to find a lot of prints, styles, designs that are very, very interesting. The last step to do is the part we call integration. So now I will click on next. So it tells me authentication, meaning how you want people to connect with your platform. Do you want them to use Gmail? Do you want them to create a login and a password? So here I can simply select this Firebase interface. In fact, it's a Google product. You can create an account for free and it would go through Google. You also have the option to choose a database. So here it is integrated with Firestore and also Superb IS. So you actually have the choice to select what you want. And here regarding payment, this is what's very interesting. If you have Stripe, you just need to click on it to simply connect your Stripe account with the application. But be careful, you absolutely need to have an active Stripe account to be able to do it. And here, the storage part, everything related to saving photos, videos, and everything. You can of course choose where you want to store all your CHIS data. Once that's done, all that's left to do is simply click on Let's Start Here. So the system begins to develop our application. And there you go, the system will start generating our code. But you will see that its strong point is that it is also capable of creating what we call the necessary steps to launch the code. And there you go, in just a few seconds, it just gave me what we call a to-do. This is a list where it will simply provide me with its program and schedule. That is to say, it will tell me, listen, to succeed with your application, we will need to actually establish all these great steps, and we must do them in this order. And every time I start a step, of course, I must test it. And then, of course, click on the next step with Start Task, so it moves to the next step. And here, in fact, I have 8 steps. So if I look here, I have the 8 steps. So for the first step, it actually asks me, or rather suggests, to create what we call the ending page. So that I start with the home page on the design side, the display of both communities and the features of our platform. Then it works on the authentication part to connect, to create user accounts. Afterwards, it's quite simply, it will create what we call the part where I can see other committees and choose a community to join. And the next step is simply to implement this feature and allow people to create and manage communities. Then it's the creation of the discussion section, followed by the courses and learning experience section. This is very important because the platform allows selling courses. And here the payment part actually handles registrations with Stripe. So you see, even if I didn't select Stripe, since I included it in the specifications, it picked it up. And now this is the event section. I can add events with my system, so let's get started. First thing to do, I'm going to click here to start the first task. So now it's going to start actually in the programming mode. You will see that here we always need to have the console part here where it will actually allow us to do the programming. And of course, I can also simply see the entire part where it will show me the code afterwards. Of course, I will give it time to complete the development of the first page. You will see that it makes the plan, does the coding and the programming. And so that afterwards I can see a small preview of the first part. We let it run until we no longer find this pause equation here. This pause equation will be finished. And so at that moment, I can either move on to the next step to tell it to proceed to the second stage, or quite simply, if I have any comments regarding the first step, I can ask it to rectify or correct certain codes. So I give it time to finish. Generally, it takes a few minutes, in fact, to write all the codes, and then I proceed with the deployment. So here I have my first preview. So you will see that here I have a preview of my application. So here I can obviously see, really, Photom, it has cloned the site. I should have actually specified to use a different logo and everything. But when I look here, it's practically the same. It's incredible. So I am seeing, so here the picture doesn't appear, but it's not a big deal. But here I see how it was done. First page is the same. So actually set up the part for payment for the subscription. I see that it's very interesting. I also see that he added here the part to connect, to log in. And I can see here, obviously on the left, in fact, all the information regarding the different interfaces of my page. Because here, in fact, for each part, there is obviously code running behind, and a part, for example, regarding this way, I can work on it alone to adjust information related to it. If I go to the part, for example, pricing, when I click, it will give me the pricing section. Each code, in fact, is separate. So it is well developed indeed. And I can see, obviously here, the UI file. I can also see, well, here it shows you that it hasn't been done yet. So these steps here, the part then of internal storage. So here, obviously from the screenshots that I provided, so he was inspired by that. And so here, I actually have a small preview of my display. I can obviously see it on the tablet, on the phone side to make sure it's responsive. That's very, very interesting. I can click here to open preview. So when I click, it will show the preview here. But if it doesn't appear, it's because I would first need to do what we call deployment, which means this option will simply allow deploying this tool. It will ask me to provide a username, meaning a name. So it can give me hosting on DataButton.api. And so here I will call it, for example, just for testing. We'll put Diaferas and confirm it needs to be available. So this one, it is available. So I click here on deploy. A second time here, it tells me, okay, the name of the application. How do you want the app well, we'll leave it like this here because in the end, actually, it will be the name of the application. It's just for testing, so we'll click on deploy. You'll see that there, in fact, it is currently doing the deployment to install it on this site. And I will obviously show you that I can even configure it to have a custom external domain name as well. It is done automatically. And that's what makes the power of this application. So it can help me to do the external deployment. So here it is currently doing the deployment so that I can see this site on a URL. So we'll just wait a moment for it to finish the deployment. And there you go, my URL is ready. So quite simply, I will click here to open it in another page. And as you can see here, I have the display of my application. Really, it's a very good quality of cloning, of copying. I find that it was really done very well. Of course, it has only remained at the level of the first page. That's what he told me in the first step, to do the landing page. If I come back here, you will see that there is the part setting. So the setting part is very important. I find here the part where it will do for me a little recap on the application's information. I can, of course, change it, tweak a little the pitch I sent. There, the agent part, there, the production part, and that's where, in fact, I can customize my domain name. So there is a whole step-by-step guide here to create a domain name. But generally, what I recommend is to complete the application 100% in mode. Deployment on the DataButton application, serve on their server. For them, it needs to work 100%. That's when you can actually migrate to your own server. Here, the extensions that will be installed, of course, over time, it will add other extensions like Stripe and everything. They will appear here. We won't anticipate now because there will be a step where it will ask me to do the authentication. So we want to do it separately. Here is the design side. Of course, I can add my favicon here and the information related to the design here. The keys actually, if I want to, for example, call OpenAI and everything, I can install the keys here, what we call the general variables, because sometimes the application might use an external AI. So as a result, I need to set up the KPIs here. Here are the collaborators. If I ever work with other people, and here as well, these are the packages that will be installed and are being used in my application. We will find them here quite simply, and that is very interesting. So as a result, this is the setting side of my system. So here we will remove the setting. So now I will go back to look at the plan section, and here I have the possibility to make two choices. Either, in fact, I will mark them as completed. And so as a result here, it will be marked. And so as a result, it will suggest moving to the next step, as you can see here. As I can also see, there is the possibility to add other steps here. Intermediate. So as a result, I can add another step to tell it, be careful, I want you to add something else in the queue page. I give it exactly what it needs to do. You notice that it consumed a credit here. So practically, the step is that it has a credit. Are you going, see, also, so I have the possibility to ask it to rework the application. So this is the summary. In fact, I can do this as well. I can add comments here just for myself to remember here, because later, in fact, I can see the whole project. I can go back to see the comments. Be careful, the comments will not be executed. They are just comments. But if you want to execute something directly here to ask it to make modifications at this step, you obviously have this part here, which is at the bottom here on the right, where you can add a print. So the print, either you add it here or you click here on to do to actually add a step. So if everything goes well, what I will do, I will mark it. Calm down, it's as if it has been done. There you go. And so now it is ready to move on to the second one. So what I tell it here is move to the second one, or simply I come here and click here to start task, where it will simply proceed to execute the second task. Of course, it will take a few minutes to develop and set up. In fact, this system here, so we will let it work. So now it will work for a few minutes. Once it finishes, we can see the second step where it will perform the authentication of the connection, username, and password on my platform. At this point, it will ask me if I want to install a Firebase database. So Firebase, quite simply, is a database created by Google. We have free access that allows us to manage, as you can see here, logins, passwords, and registration. And we will also need, of course, a database to store the information. So therefore, I will tell it, yes, I want to add the database. And here you will see it actually gives me instructions. So to do it, first you should know that here there is a complete step-by-step guide for those who really want to follow the steps from A to Z and learn. Otherwise, what it asks me for, in fact, there are some data or information it requires for it to work. First, it tells me that I need to log into Firebase console. There, you needed to have a Gmail account to access, so it's very simple. And it asks me here to copy-paste my database configuration. So somewhere here, we will provide it with access codes so that it can connect to its database. So as a result, we will go to Firebase, find the information and paste it here. Then it will actually ask me to configure authentication as well. This means we will enable communication via email, meaning people can log in using their email address as well as through Google Sign-In. You remember that sometimes when you enter a website, it offers you the option to log in directly with Gmail. Then it tells me to be careful. You need to grant permission on Firebase, that is on the Google console, so that these domains will have the authorization to connect to this database. So that's the second thing to do as well. Then it tells me, listen, it's very interesting to activate the Firestore database if I want to store information and data in it. So as a result, I need to apply all this information. Once that's done, I can click on install. You'll see that it will take care of the installation. But first, let's go to the Firebase console here to be able to create the first instance. And there you go. So here I'm simply on Firebase. So here I'm connected, of course, with my email address, Gmail here. And now I'm going to create a new project quite simply, as I can use already existing projects. So here you have the option to choose to create a project or to use an existing project. So when I enter here, I will give a name to this project. I'll simply call it school, just like that. I will continue. Here, if I want to enable Google Analytics, if I want to track traffic and everything, well, I'm not going to do it for now because it's not very important. I create my project. So now the project is being created. It takes a few seconds to complete. And there you go. My project is ready. I will click on continue. So now it will enter the console where I have my entire project. And then we will go to create here. There you go. So I will go and look for it. In fact, Firebase database there to start creating my first database here. So as soon as I enter the system here, it will create a database for me that I will name. In fact, the information of this database, there you go. So there we click on create the database. This information will simply allow me to make the connection. So the location of the database, I will simply choose Europe. So there, I will click on next and you will see. So there, we will go into production mode or test mode. So for me, test is simply here. The information, it will just remain hard-coded. Afterwards, they will be automatically deleted. It's up to you to choose if you want the information to remain or to be in test mode. It doesn't change anything. But finally, when you deploy your application permanently, it absolutely has to be in, of course, production mode. They don't have a text mode, so here it will simply load to create your database on Firebase. And now on the homepage, quite simply, we will add this application web. So here it's a little bit the name of the application. You can give it any name you want. I will call it school, for example. We will call it school. Web, it's just the name of the application. So we also consider Firebase hosting. Not necessarily though. We will just create my application and that's where we will retrieve, in fact, the codes. Remember that we will need the codes to put them here, the configuration codes. And there we have just completed the installation. So now I will do this. It's the code actually. Look at this part here. I can copy it like this. Okay. This is the part where you actually need to put it here. So now we will paste it. So there are the information and the codes of my database and my application. This is the part, the connection with the application. I click on access the console. So here it's okay. So we have just set up the information actually of my system. So if I ever want to retrieve the codes, they are always there. There you go. If you ever lost those codes, and I can now move on to the part where I will work, which we call authentication. Remember that we have an authentication part here that needs to be done. Authentication, how it works is very simple. I come back here, you will see here when I go to the section creation. There is a small button called authentication. I enter the authentication, and here in the authentication, I will ask it, in fact, require it to connect with the login and password and also with Gmail. So here I activate the login and password part. So there I set it to active. There you go. I activate it, as you can see here. I can set it up so that people receive an email when they connect to ensure that it is indeed them, especially when they are registering for the first time. But well, it's an option if you want. Now I save it. So that's very good. I can also add to our provider the possibility to connect with the phone. I think this sometimes happens to you in applications. You connect, you enter your phone number, and it sends you an SMS. There are those who use Facebook. There are those who connect with Microsoft. Also, there's Yahoo, so after all, it all depends. But the most well-known ones are rather the one with login and password connection and the one with Gmail. That's very, very well known. So I activate that one too. I confirm it like this. And I will simply, so when you see it there, so I can, of course, enter the address associated with the project. It's very, very important, in fact, to connect this to your email address that connects to your project. And then you will simply press here on save to confirm the addition of the connection with Gmail. And there you go. It's done. I have simply added here the possibility to connect with Gmail and with my email account, so I will have both options here. So there, as a result, we have correctly completed the installation of the database creation, the application creation, the authentication. If I come back here to check, it remains for me. In fact, by adding these domain names, we will copy the first domain name. So we come back here. We will go to authentication. You will see here there is simply a part of the authentication in the database to actually authorize the domain names. Rather, in fact, we will switch to pass authentication. Here we have what we call the settings. So we will enter the settings and you will see here that there is the authorized domain. I enter here and this is where, in fact, I will add the domains. So I start with the first one. I add it to actually give it the ability to access the database. And I can obviously copy the second one here as I am doing now. I add the second one and there you go. I click add. So as a result, I have actually completed all the steps here as needed. All that's left to do is click on install Firebase authentication. So I launch it. You will see here it is actually the one that will do what is necessary to create this page. So it creates, connects, and since I have actually given it the authorization, it will do that on my behalf. In fact, the programming, so it is the one that takes care of the programming. And I really like the way it shows me how it proceeds, you see. So I let it finish the configuration and restart the application. After that, I can deploy it to see how it works. This is very, very interesting. So the authentication is done correctly. I will click on OK down here. So practically this step is being finalized. As you can see here, I will simply finish and do it, the deployment to thoroughly test whether the authentication works or not. And there you go. So here we have seen with DataButton how we can create an application with our codes just by creating templates and executing the steps it will propose to us. I wanted this video not to be too long. So we have exceeded 30 minutes and I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what we can do with DataButton. If you are interested when we do a project together from A to Z up to the installation of Stripe and the deployment of the project on a custom domain name, I would love to do a live session with you, a free live session, where my entire YouTube community connects at the same time. And we try to work together on the project, have a little discussion to further develop this project and have a final project ready to be deployed. So please write to me in the live comments if you are interested in doing a live project with me. Alright, so I will try to prepare a form to get an idea. What are the dates? What are the dates and the time that can work for everyone? The whole community, finally, to do a little live session together, free for the entire community. So if there are many of you, I will do it. So don't hesitate to write live project in the comments. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to write to me in the comments. I do my best to answer all your questions. And if you like the video and want to see the upcoming updates, don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel. I thank you very much and see you soon.